One rifle, one caliber. Whitetail in thick East Tennessee timber this fall, pronghorn across open Wyoming ground in the spring, and come September, a brown bear at 40 yards on the Alaska coast. One platform has to do all of it. The new cartridge the blog sold you won't save you. The flat trajectory on the box won't save you. And the caliber your buddy switched to last month won't save you either. I went and looked this up before I said it, because I didn't trust my memory. November of '91, second weekend. I've got 4 men in one notebook carrying rifles they couldn't handle, and 2 deer wounded that nobody ever found. These are the 10 most popular hunting calibers in America, ranked worst to first against one filter. 9 of them break, 1 doesn't. And number 1 is older than your grandfather. The internet's been calling it dead for 10 years, and it's sitting in more safes right now than any round on this list. Don't skip to the end, because you'll miss why. Now, number 10, the 223 Remington. Here's what most people get wrong about the one rifle question. They start with what's fun to shoot instead of what the filter demands. And the filter is this: one caliber, one rifle you can afford. Every legal animal in America. Coyote at 200 yards to a brown bear at 40. With ammo on the shelf when the shelves go bare, cheap enough that you actually practice. Every round here gets measured against that. No favorites. The 223 came out of Remington in 1964, went military as the 5.56, and it's the most produced centerfire rifle cartridge in American history. 55 to 77 grain bullets north of 3,000 feet per second, and I've seen it for 35 cents a round. On coyotes and groundhogs, it's about perfect. Here's where it dies. I enforced game law in this state for 30 years, and in most states it is flatly illegal to take elk, moose, or bear with a 223. Where it isn't illegal, it's wrong. It's a varmint round, full stop. You can't cover America with it, but the next one at least argues it can do the job. Number 9, the 6.5 Creedmoor. This is the one the magazines needed you to buy. Hornady brought it out in 2007 as a target round, and around 2015 the press decided it was the second coming. Now here's the part nobody selling it will say out loud. The industry needs a new cartridge every 3 years. That's the business. Meanwhile, the man in your deer camp who's killed 30 elk is still carrying what he carried in 1994. Credit where it's due. It's a good design. 140 grain bullets around 2,700 feet per second, holds velocity well, bucks wind better than a 308 at distance, and it's easy on the shoulder. Deer, antelope, black bear. No argument there. Ammo runs about $1.50 to $3 a round. Where it dies is the top of the list. On the biggest coastal bears, it's light, and I don't know a guide who'd let a client carry one there, I asked. It can't finish the job. One spot up sits around doing this job in 1955, and a whole generation learned on it. Number 8, the .243 Winchester. Winchester necked the 308 case down in 1955 and built the round. Half of America killed its first deer with 60 to 105 grain bullets at 2,900 to 3,100 feet per second, and recoil less than half of what a 30 to 06 gives you. My own kids learned to shoot on a single shot, 22, and the 243 is the same idea, one size up. A rifle that teaches instead of punishes. A Savage in this chambering runs under $400 new, and ammo's $1 to $2 a round. Coyotes, hogs, whitetail, pronghorn, kills them clean and doesn't beat up a small shooter doing it. Best first rifle on this list, and that's not a small thing. Against the filter, though, it's a deer and under round. Guides out west won't let you bring it for elk, and they're right. It can't touch the top half of the list. The next one takes the biggest animal on the continent, but only if that animal is close. Let me say one thing first, then I'll leave it be. A gun wears its markings in 8 places, and most men check 2, The price tag on a new rifle is fiction. I wrote those tags for 7 years, and 2 words cost families more than anything else in this business, said at a counter by somebody who doesn't know what he has. All of it went into my book, The Gun You Think You Know, 121 chapters, because most books stop at the purchase, and that's the first quarter of it. The code's on the screen right now. Point your phone at it. Number 7, 45 to 70, government. In 1873, the Army adopted this, which makes it 152 years old and still killing elk every October. 300 to 405 grain bullets at 1,600 to 2,000 feet per second in modern loads. In a lever gun, it's about 7 pounds, 5 or 6 in the tube. Quick and thick timber. Inside 175 yards, it will put down anything in North America, brown bear included, which is why it rides as a backup gun in Alaska. My friend Doyle carried a lever gun in the woods for 41 years and killed more deer with it than I have with everything I've ever owned. What kills it is the arc. Past 200 yards, that heavy bullet drops like a thrown rock, and you cannot shoot a pronghorn across a flat with it. New, about $1,200. Ammo, $2 to $3 a round. Wood's gun of a lifetime. But the one above it gives you the range this one can't touch. Number 6, the 308 Winchester. Winchester brought this out in 1952, NATO adopted it in 54, and it's been in every action type ever built since. 150 to 180 grain bullets, around 2,700 feet per second. Recoil about 18 foot-pounds. A firm push, nothing more. When other calibers vanished off shelves in 2020, 308 hunting ammo was mostly still sitting there. I sold a lot of these across a counter in the 70s, and I don't remember one coming back. Now, the crack in it. Past 350 yards, it starts running out of gas. Short action. Smaller powder column. At 500 yards, it's holding around 1,400 foot-pounds, which is the bottom edge of what's right for elk. And on the biggest coastal bears, it's marginal. Legal most places, but every Alaska man I've talked to would rather you brought more. Now, quick question before the top 5. Which one of these is in your safe right now? Put the number in the comments. I read them. Most people who started this video are already gone. If you're still here, you're the ones actually asking the question instead of buying the answer somebody sold you. The 5 that are left are the serious ones, and number 1 has probably killed more American game than the other 9 put together. Number 5, 270 Winchester. If 308 runs out of reach, this was built to fix it. Winchester necked the 30-06 case down in 1925, and Jack O'Connor spent 30 years in the magazines making it the mountain rifle of America. I read those magazines as a boy in Mister. Renfro's Barber Shop, because they cost money I didn't have. 130 grain bullets, over 3,000 feet per second, flat to 400 yards. Recoil about 17.5 foot-pounds. On deer, sheep, and antelope in open country, it's about as good as it gets. And ammo's $1.20 to $2.50 everywhere. It breaks up top. Factory bullets max out around 150 grains. That's a deer bullet all day long. But when you need to break heavy shoulder bone on an animal over 800 pounds, it doesn't have the weight. Good hunters have killed big bears with it. Most guides would tell you to leave it in the truck. Precision without punch. The next one adds the muscle. Number 4, the 7mm Remington Magnum. Remington dropped this in 1962 alongside the Model 700, and it takes what the 270 does and adds reach. Bullets from 140 to 175 grains. The sweet spot running past 3,100 feet per second, still carrying over 1,700 foot-pounds at 500 yards. That's real elk power, at real distance, and out west half the camp is carrying one. 2 things break it. Recoil is about 23 foot-pounds, and the ammo runs $2.50 to $4 a round. You're not finding it in a gas station, which means men don't practice with it. And I told you about November of '91. 4 men that weekend carrying magnums, none of them could shoot. 2 deer wounded and never found. That's not an opinion I formed. That's a thing I wrote down at the time. I'll own my part too. I told a man in about 1985 he needed more gun than he did, because that's what I believed then, and he wounded a deer with it the next fall. I've thought about that more than once. One spot up hits harder still, and that's exactly its problem. Number 3. 300 Winchester Magnum. Sledgehammer of the list. Winchester. 1,963. 180 grain bullets at 3,000 feet per second. 200 grainers past 2,000. 800, close to 2,000 foot-pounds still on the bullet at 500 yards. Now the flaw. 30 foot-pounds of recoil. Most men can't put 40 rounds through one without their groups falling apart, and ammo at $40 to $50 a box means most men won't try. Probably 3/4 of the hunting you'll ever do is deer and hogs inside 200 yards, and running this for that is a dump truck hauling groceries. If you can't afford to practice with your rifle can't save you. Number 2 backs off the power and gets closer to right than anything yet. Number 2, 30 to 30 Winchester. Meet the little brother. Since 1895, this round has killed more American deer than anything ever chambered. Most of it inside 100 yards. Most of it out of a lever gun somebody's father handed down. Mine did. A Winchester Model 94 in 30 to 30, made in 1951. I killed my first deer with it in November of 1964. 60 yards. Hit it too far back, and my father made me follow the blood 90 yards. And look at where the bullet went. I've never forgotten being made to look. That rifle came to me in 1979, and it's not for sale at any number. 150 to 170 grain bullets around 2,200 to 2,400 feet per second. Light recoil, light rifle, ammo in every store that sells ammo at all. 200 yards is the flaw. Past that, it's done. The bullet's flat nose for the tube magazine, and it sheds speed fast. It owns the woods, and it can't leave them. And number 1 is what this round grows up into. Number 1, 30 to 06, Springfield. Run the ladder back. 223 can't legally do it. The Creedmoor's light at the top. 243 stops at deer. 45 to 70 stops at 200 yards. 308 fades past 350. The 270 runs out of bullet. The 2 Magnums beat you out of the practice that makes any of it matter. And the 30 to 30 can't leave the timber. No disqualifying weakness anywhere. That's the whole argument. Not the best at anything. The only one that never completely fails you. Adopted by the Army in 1906, it's been proving the point for 120 years. And here's what actually separates it: bullet weight. You can load it from 125 grains for coyotes up to 220 grain bonded bullets that break through heavy bone on the biggest bears. No other round on this list runs that whole ladder in one rifle. Velocity around 2,700 with a 180. Recoil about 21 foot-pounds. Firm, and a man can shoot it all Saturday. At 500 yards, it's still carrying over 1,650 foot-pounds. Ammo's in every shop in the country, $1.20 in the cheap stuff, and it was still on shelves when the shelves were bare. I bought mine in 1974. A Winchester Model 70 featherweight, employee price $189, the year after I married June. It's the Post 64 push feed, which some of you already have opinions about, and in 52 years it has never once failed me. Say what you want in the comments, I'll read it. That's the list. 223 for varmints. The Creedmoor for the press. 243 for your kids. 45 to 70 for timber. 308 for almost. 270 for the open. The 7 millimeters, and the 300 for men who practice. 30 to 30 for the woods. Your father hunted, and the 30 to 06 for everything. 4 rules before you go. 1. Buy for the country you actually hunt, not the country in the magazine. 2. The caliber you practice with beats the caliber you bought every time. 3. Know your state's law before you know your load. 4. One proven rifle you shoot beats 4 safe queens you don't. One more word on the book, then I'm done, because I don't much care for selling. Your guns are rusting for a reason that isn't humidity, and the $8 fix outperforms most of what the safe companies charge. The 60-second check that catches a butchered gun before you pay prints on one page, sized for a wallet. And the reason the handing down chapters exist is a safe that sold for one flat number. 41 years. One number. One bad buy avoided pays for it 11 times over. The men who knew this are going out the door one safe at a time, and mostly nobody wrote it down. You're already ahead of most men who'll buy a rifle this year, just for asking the question instead of buying the answer. Subscribe so the next one finds you while it still helps. And there's a video on your screen right now. Go watch it. Tell me what your daddy carried and where that gun is now. That's the one I want to hear about. All right.